So the other very big reason why China is an amazing market is China is now by far the largest monetizable mobile market in the world. And that's extremely important. We all know how powerful the mobile internet is, the mobile revolution and all the things that come with it. With mobile, it's something that you carry with you all the time, very different from PC. It has knowledge about location, it knows where you are. It has knowledge about your friends, your communication, your social. I mean, as a personal tool, it is more than 10 times more powerful than a PC has ever been. So wherever mobile hits, that's going to be a great market, because when you've got your phone with you, that's how you can get services, products, e-commerce connections to people. So China has sort of had all the right things going for it. In the early days before smartphones, China had the most mobile phones. Even 15 years ago, everywhere you went, everyone had a small feature phone or at least a dumb phone with them. So the usage of a phone as an information device and people access device has been built in. In this way, China is much stronger than India or other countries where the usage of mobile phones has not been as pervasive. So essentially, years have gone by where China's slowness in growth in landline has given it an opportunity to build a strong base in mobile. And essentially, about 2 decades have gone into essentially educating the market that this thing that you take with you all the time is great for accessing people and information. So when smartphone came along, China grew very, very rapidly. So in 2009, when we started InnovationWorks, we put all of our investments betting on smartphone in China. And at the time, it was not something everybody liked, because feature phones really didn't very well develop a lot of the capabilities that people had envisioned for years. But smartphone has the location, and it has the application stack that could be built, and we saw that was the future. So we bet on that in 2009, and today there are over 600 million smartphones in China. Very, very rapid adoption. But what's even more important is that in the past 2 years, maybe 2 to 3 years, payment became possible. If you ask people, why would China, if you ask pessimists 10 years ago, why don't you think China would be an IT powerhouse? The biggest reasons you hear about is lack of PC penetration and the lack of credit card and payment. So without that, those are the core pillars of the American internet, right? PCs had to go everywhere, they got connected to the internet, everybody had access to it, and then you have credit cards that enable you to pay for merchandise, and that's important whether you have a virtual or real business that you're building. But China didn't have that. But magically, China overcame both of them in the last 3 to 6 years. 6 years ago began the beginning of the usage of smartphones, and the last basically 3 years, the mobile payment went from nothing to now over half of the installed base. So what really made the smartphones possible, I think, is really cost effectiveness. The data plans are relatively inexpensive. The cost of phones are coming down. Their capabilities were going up. Chinese local apps were growing. Apps like WeChat, those all drove adoption and usage of smartphone. And of course, companies like Xiaomi and Huawei were making cheaper and cheaper phones that made this possible. And what made the mobile payment possible? Well, really it's the venture capitalists who gave a lot of money to companies like Didi, Kuaidi, Yidaixi, and many that have gone out of existence. Basically, venture capitalists funded these companies with the belief that they would use the money to generate users and help users pay. So that's why for the last 2 or 3 years, if you had a chance to live in mainland China, you'd be very fortunate, because you could ride taxis for maybe 70% discount. You could get takeout for maybe half the price. You could get breakfast almost for free every day. You could get cleaning for cheaper than taking it yourself to a laundromat. How was that possible? is venture capitalists deciding to give money to these startups that offer the so-called shared economy, online to offline services, believing that if you threw money into this industry, companies will offer services to you, customers will get hooked, and having 100 million users one day will convert to a profitable business. Well, the venture capitalists often are a little bit too optimistic and in some cases too foolish, so many of them lost a lot of money. Fortunately, not us. But what really happened? So one could argue, was there a bubble that bursted this year in China? In some sense, there was. If you were in the O2O business, offering, whether it's nail polishing or whatever business that you deliver to people at a loss, so to create more users and then make money later, figure it out later, the chances are you ran out of money and went out of business. In a few cases, like Didi Kuaidi, they built such a large business, they killed all the competitors, they remained, and now they can probably develop into a good future. But in most other cases, car services and many of the O2O areas, companies went out of business. And the bubble did burst. It bursted already. But what remained is something very, very valuable. That is, even if you're a user who only took free taxi rides or cheap taxi rides at 70% off when Didi offered it. Now Didi doesn't give discount anymore. You stop using it. Or you bought some free breakfast from some poor company that offered it every morning, and then they ran out of money and went out of business, and you no longer use it. One thing that remained is your phone now has paying capabilities, and that is there to stay. And that's the lasting value, that all this cash burned up. Many companies died, lots of money was lost, but now half the people can, on the click of a button, pay for some merchandise. And that is phenomenal value. The analogy I often like to make is, if you remember the dot-com burst in the year 2000, lots of money was burned, specifically in the area of building cable. That was back when cable companies were worth a lot of money. Went in, now we're at Microsoft. Microsoft spent billions of dollars in cable companies, many of which went out of business, and Microsoft CFO had to resign. However, what happened was Americans got broadband, and that became a lasting value. So while the venture capitalists and investors lost lots of money in the bubble of the cable, broadband remained. So here, lots of people gave up free good stuff to users and lost money, but now everybody can pay. And that 300 million plus people who can pay on their mobile internet is extremely powerful. Because if you go to Beijing today, while the air may be quite bad, you can really enjoy the greatest service in the whole world. You can pretty much sit in your home and not go out and get everything delivered to you. Those of you from mainland China, well, you're probably not old enough, but Wen Ying would remember, there was an experiment 15 years ago of a real-time live show of someone broadcasting from their home saying, I'm not going to go out and I'm going to just live on the internet. Can I survive? And everybody watched and they wondered, can you survive just on the internet? It was difficult at the time because you couldn't get much. But now, lots of people live that way. You can get food delivered to you, drinks delivered to you, you can get laundry washed, you can get drinks delivered to you. If you want to go anywhere, you can have a car ride, and you can buy things through e-commerce. You can literally never leave your home and have amazing service that's delivered very fast. You could turn on one of the apps on your phone and you'll see 100 restaurants eager to deliver to you even at 3 a.m. in the morning. And that's a phenomenon not seen anywhere in the world. And that gives you an idea of the power that 300 plus million people who can pay on their phone, how powerful that can be. If you go to a traditional Chinese market, you will see that some of the vegetable merchants are able to take WeChat payment when you buy vegetables from them, even in rural areas. And my friends who play Texas Hold'em, and I play occasionally, people don't carry cash anymore. You know, everything is done on the phone. You don't even need credit cards anymore. And people who play games with each other, people who grab hongbao from each other, It's changed the whole country. And the state of e-payment in China is more advanced than anywhere else in the world. So that's a long way of just wrapping up why I'm really optimistic, because now the base of paying users is there. And even though some companies didn't make money, many will.